steps for the COVID tracker action, like generating a PDF file and sending it to either email or WhatsApp based on user's choice. So in the last video we have seen like how to create a table in the actions builder, and till this we have completed. So now we'll move on to the next part, that is like once the table is being shown off, then we'll ask the user like whether the user is interested to get the report or not, and if the user chooses yes, then we'll show another option, what kind of in which way they want the report, either through email or WhatsApp. So if the user chooses no, then we'll show a message like thank you. So let's start building those part now. So we'll go to the develop console and we'll create a new scene. So we'll name the scene as like a report generation or report creation. So I'll click on that scene. So on enter of this scene, we'll ask the question to the user like from the dialog we'll choose like whether the user is like to receive the report. So we'll take this part now. So we'll add the question like would you like to receive the report, and the suggestions like yes, and one more suggestion no. So we'll hit save, and then we'll handle the no case, that is like if the user chooses no, then we'll show a prompt like we'll show the end message. So if the user says no, then we'll show the end message and use the end conversation to stop the conversation. Then first we'll add this scene in the cloud function, like once the data is available means then we'll show this message. If there is no data, then we don't want to print any, we don't want to generate any report. So if there is data, then we'll add this case like conversation dot scene dot next dot name equal to the scene name which we have created, and then we'll first deploy this guy. We'll go back here. So once the user chooses yes, then we'll be having another dialog like do you want the report in email or WhatsApp. So we'll give a different kind of a message like select an option from the below suggestions. So we'll add one more scene like the way we are going to sending the report. Send report options. So we'll open that scene. So on enter of this scene, we'll add the prompt like would you like to receive the report through email or WhatsApp, as well as we give the options here as well. So we click on the suggestions. So we'll add the email as well as WhatsApp. Then we'll click save. So we'll go back to the report creation scene. So when the yes intent is matched, so we'll transit to the send report option scene. So this report creation scene is completed. So now we'll go back to the send report options. So here we are showing the options like whether the user wants to receive the report through email or WhatsApp. So we'll handle these two intents like an email intent and WhatsApp. So for that we'll close the scenes, we'll open the intent and we'll create a new intent named email. And one more intent named WhatsApp. So we'll add these training phrases like mail, email, send it to my mail, to my inbox. So I'm just giving some random training phrases. You can give correct phrases which you like. So I'm just giving some random one. Send it to my Gmail. First one, option one. So is there any other thing we have missed out? WhatsApp, email, option one, and okay, it's enough. Like adding the training phrases. We don't want this number. Option one. So we'll save this intent. So similarly, we'll go to the WhatsApp intent and we'll add this training phrases like WhatsApp, option 2, second one, send it in WhatsApp, so is there anything you can add it out? Check your option 2, second one, WhatsApp, something like that. This one is, we'll save this guy. So we can close these two intents. So now we'll handle these intents like when email is matched, then we can call the webhook email, and if it is WhatsApp means then we can call the WhatsApp. So what we can do is like here we can create a handler named send email. Can save this one, and then we go to our cloud function. Then we'll create one more handler named send email. Then we'll add a conversation, and we'll give the conversation like add of send email in cloud function got called. And similarly we'll create one more that is like to send WhatsApp. Send WhatsApp. So this is for the testing purpose, like once here we're getting the things means like then we can write the logics based upon those things. So now we'll select one more intent handling, like when it is WhatsApp. So we'll call our webhook, and then we'll add the send WhatsApp handler. Hit save. I think those things has been completed. So now we'll deploy this function. Firebase deploy. So once it is deployed, we can test these flows. So once this part is working fine means then we'll start writing the logics, that is like first we have to get the data from firestore, and then we have to create a PDF file. So once the PDF is been generated, so then we can send it through email, and if it is in WhatsApp links, we can send that PDF file in WhatsApp. So for both cases we have to handle to get the data from firestore, and then create the PDF file. So based upon the choice we have to send those data. So these two functions will be like a common one. So what we can do is, like, once this part is get added, so we'll get the data from firestore and we'll make it as a common function. So first we'll test this guy. Will be taking some time. Let me go and check it in our console. So let me check it one more time whether the name which we have given, let's see, .next.name, this one is correct. And lost fulfillment been updated around .327. Like, let us check it one more time here. So meantime we'll check this GCP platform, like whatever the errors we have received. So there is no error been for the last 24 hours. We've been using one cloud function, and this API request has been going on. Again the server is time out, like we'll deploy it one more time. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes for the deployment. So meantime we'll check the flow one more time, like whether it's been correctly added. So once the data is being shown in the table, so we'll be navigating to the next scene, that is report creation. So in the report creation we are showing a prompt, like whether the user wants to receive the report. Sorry, like the report creation scene. So we'll be asking the question whether you like to receive the report. So if the user chooses yes or no, so if the user chooses yes, then it will be go to the send report options scene. So here we will be asking the question whether the user wants to receive the report in email or WhatsApp. And if the user chooses email, so we'll call the cloud function. So we'll be handling like using the email send email handler, and for the WhatsApp we'll be using the send WhatsApp handler. So that part we have written here. If it is from send email handler, so we'll be showing a message, or if it's from WhatsApp, so you'll be showing another message. So we'll wait for the deployment get completed. So it is taking a little bit of time, so we'll wait for it. So now the function has been got deployed, so now we'll test our action. So we'll go back to the test console and reset the test, as well as we do the trick. So now we'll test the action.
Getting the test version of 𝗂𝗓𝗓. Welcome to 𝗂𝗓𝗓. Did you hunt out today?
No.
Would you like to see the places you have visited earlier?
Yes.
Here is the list of places you have visited. Would you like to receive the report?
So here, if you see, we are getting that message like, would you like to receive the report, as well as suggestions, but we cannot see that message in the top. Maybe in the smartphones we can able to see. So now we'll choose yes. Yes.
Would you like to receive the report through email or WhatsApp?
Email.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you try again?
Send it in email.
Send email in cloud function 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗃.
So the cloud function which we have written here is being get called. So now what we can do is so we can start writing the logics to get the data from firestore, as well as once the data has been received, then we can write the logics to generate the PDF. So first we'll write the logics to get the data from firestore. So already we have written it in the get location history handler as well. So what we can do is we can refactor this part of code. So we can make a common code instead of having a multiple set of places the data. So what we can do is we'll make this one as a common. So for that, first what we are going to do is we will create a function. So we'll create a function named get firestore data. So inside that, what we can do is we can get the last week data and current date. So we'll pass these two things instead of last week data, what we can give is we can change this name. It's a start date and end date. So then after that, so we'll be having a query. So we can copy that one as well. So once that is done, so what we'll have is the config as well as. So here we are writing the logics to send those data in. Okay, this part we can handle it now. So what we can do is like return this one. So before that, what we'll do is like so instead of last week date, we can give it as a start date, and instead of current date, we can give it as end date, start date, and end date. So now we'll write the logics like in a promise. We'll write it out. So return new promise. So, add the result. So inside this, what we'll do is like report reference dot get. So you can just copy that part which you have written earlier. We can just type it out. Then now snapshot. So inside here, what we'll do is like take the data like data set be an empty array. So snapshot for each of dot. So inside this dot, what we'll do is like we'll pass the data from the document, and then we'll push those data to the array. So it will be like a date, which will be having a movement data dot date, will be in a format of year, month and date, the time, it will be data dot time, and the place would be data dot place. It will be, so once the data has been pushed to the array, so what we can do is like we can return this array as a result. So we can add a return here, and then here what we'll do is like we'll resolve the data. So now for now what we'll do is in the get location history data part, so we write up the new logic. Const report data equal to get firestore, or we can write this get firestore data then of response. So inside this response we'll write up a console like what kind of a response we are getting on, and then from here we have to change the data to the format like in a cell which will be having an text format, like the data which should be in the format needed for the table. So what we'll do is like we can change it, this one as data as well as this one data. So now the function gets deployed. So now we'll test our action. So we'll do set the test, and then we'll invoke our action.
Here's the test version of 𝗙𝗙𝗓. Welcome to 𝗙𝗙𝗓. Did you went out today?
No.
Would you like to see the places you have visited earlier?
Yes. Yes.
Here is the list of places you have visited. Would you like to receive the report?
So now you can see here, like now we are getting the scene is getting navigated to the report scene. So now we'll choose yes. So do you like to receive the report? We'll choose yes.
Would you like to receive the report through email or WhatsApp?
So now the options has been provided, like whether the user wants the report in email or WhatsApp. So now we'll choose email.
Send email in cloud function got called.
So which calls our cloud function. So here we have created the handler send email. So in that we have given a response like a send email in cloud function. So this part is working fine. So now what we will do is like we'll write the logics here in the cloud function. So for the send email and send WhatsApp, so whenever the user chooses email or WhatsApp, so first thing what we'll do is like we'll retrieve the data from firestore, and then based on that data we'll create a PDF file using PDFMake, and then after that we will send those PDF files in email or in WhatsApp, so based on the choice. So the thing is like so both retrieving the data and generating PDF is like a common for both the send email and WhatsApp handler. So what we can do is like we can create a common function for this one. So already in the previous handler, like in the get location history, we have done the same, like we have given some dates. So based on that we have retrieved the data from the firestore. So what we can do is like we can create a common function for all these three, and for all these three handlers, and then we can use that data in the respective handlers accordingly. So first thing what we'll do is like we'll create a handler, create a function for this to retrieve the data from firestore. So let us create a function, and then we refactor this part like the get location history. So first we'll create the function like get firestore data. So in this function what we'll do is like we'll copy the things from here from the get location history. So we'll maximize this one. So instead of last week date, what we can do is like we can change the naming like a start date, and instead of current date it will be like a end date. We can change it here in the query as well. So once it is done, what we'll do is like we will get the data from the reference, and then we'll use a snapshot for this one. So first we'll create an array, empty array, to store the data. Then we'll use a for each for the snapshot. So it will be document. So here we'll be having the data. So it will be document.data. Then we'll push these data like the date, name, date, time, and the place the user visited. So data.date format, we'll format it in date, month, year format, and then the time, data.time, then the place, so data.place, and then we'll return these datas array back to our function which is needed. So what we have done here is like we have made it in a common place, like we'll be using the get firestore function, so which can be used for both the PDF generation as well. So first we'll change it in the get location history page handler. So first what we can do is like we can remove these codes, the code which we have written, And then what we'll do is like we'll create a const variable named report data, and then we'll use await function. So then we'll call the firestore data. Since we've been using await here, we'll use the async call in this function. So it will wait until this our function gets executed. So once this report data is available, I mean the data has been paused here, so this report data will contain the array of data in the format of date, month, date, time and place. So each will be an object, but the thing what we need is like we should have, since we are showing this data in a table format, it should be in a cell, so each should be containing a text format. So what we'll do is like we'll just use a map function, so to change the data accordingly the way we need it. So we'll create one more const variable like data. So here what we'll do is like we'll pause that report data, then we'll map the report data, and it will be the report data. So we'll take the first data, and then what we'll do is like we'll return it. So in the way like so it will be an object, so it will have a cells array. So in this cell we will be having a first object that will be report data dot date. So here we don't want to format it again, because in the get firestore function itself it has been formatted. So we'll copy the same and paste it one more time. So here instead of date will be time, and here it will be place. So now this data will be returned to the data array. And now what we'll do is like we'll write our condition which we have written here. So we can cut this part alone, and we can paste it here. So if the data's length is greater than 0, then we'll show the data with the table, or else we can show the message there is no data available. So in that case we don't want this no report, so we can take that guy out. So we'll save this one first, and then like first we'll deploy this one and check whether this part is working fine. Similarly, what we will do is like in the send email as well as in send WhatsApp, we'll get the data from the firestore, and those data will pass it to the generate PDF function, so which we will be creating now. So first we'll deploy and check whether this data have been getting as expected. So we have been using the drive principle, like since the same function, I mean the same logic will be get repeated in 3 functions. So we don't want to make it a we want to reuse the existing things. So that's the reason we have moved it to a common function. So else it will be like you will be writing the same logic in send email as well as in send WhatsApp as well as in get location history handlers. So that those things we don't want to have this replications. So now we'll wait for the fulfillment gets updated. So it's getting updated. Meantime, what we'll do is like we will reset the test. So the function gets deployed. So we'll reset the test and check it one more time.
Let's get the test version of 𝗙𝗓. Welcome to 𝗙𝗓. Did you went out today?
So we'll select no.
Would you like to see the places you have visited earlier?
And we'll select yes. And now the table should be available.
Sorry, 𝗙𝗓 isn't responding right now.
So
Try again soon.
Seems like something went wrong. So let's see what was the issue. Like unsuccessful webhook call due to cannot read property map of undefined. Okay, where is that issue? Like here in the map. So the report data which we are written here is not in a way we are expected. So we'll check it. So we have returned it from the for each loop itself. It should be after the snapshot for each one. So we hope like now it will get. So we'll check it one more time. Report data.map. Yes, here it works. So we'll deploy it one more time. So instead of returning the data from the after the loop gets executed, so what we have done is like for each array we have returned the data. So that's the reason we got this error. Cannot read map property of undefined. So what happens is like it returns an empty undefined state. So that's the reason we couldn't able to. The data has been not shown and it gets failed. So here you can see the what kind of an error we are getting out. So as well as you can see from the cloud function also. So we'll wait a couple of minutes for the deployment gets completed. So we'll reset the test one more time. So the function gets deployed. So we'll test it one more time.
Here's the test version of 𝗂𝗓𝗓. Welcome to 𝗂𝗓𝗓. Did you went out today?
So we'll choose no.
Would you like to see the places you have visited earlier?
So we'll choose yes. So obviously we should see the table.
Here is the list of places you have visited. Would you like to receive the report?
So the table is we are getting the table, but the problem is like we are not getting the time and place. So we'll check it one more time here, like what was the issue. Data.time and data.place. So here also we have changed it to like report data.date and report data.time. So this part is fine. Time and place. So what was the issue here? So we'll print up a log and check what was the issue. As well as we'll see like whether we are returning the correct data, like report data. So we'll redeploy it again. So here we have passed the date as well as time. So then why we didn't get the time and place it here? So we'll see the response. So it returns empty. So what we can do is like we'll check it in the log. So anyway, we'll open up the logs in GCP console. So we'll wait for the deployment. It's complete. Data.date and time place. So we are passing this to an array, and we are closing the snapshot, and we are returning the data. And here in the reports data, we are getting that one. And in the cells, what we are doing is like we are showing the report.date, time and place. Then what happened? So we'll check it now.
Here's the test version of 𝗙𝗪𝗓.
We'll choose no.
Would you like to see the places you have?
And then we'll choose yes.
Here is the list of places you have visited. Would you like to receive the report?
So here again we are expecting the same. So we'll see the logs. So the get location history has been called, and we'll wait for the response. So what was the name you are given, like report data? So the report data contain date, time of undefined, and place of undefined. So the data which we are receiving from here, the get store function contains like a time and date to be unavailable. So we'll check what was the issue. So we'll print up a log here as well. So we'll redeploy it again. Snapshot for each document. So inside the document we are taking the data, and then we are showing the data.time and place. So these things are working fine. Then what was the issue happened? Is that the name? Then why did we receive it undefined? So we'll reset the test. So anyway, we'll check it in the console as well, like whether the data is having a date. or not. So the data has the values like date, time and place. So we are having 3 datas. So how many data is being shown here? Like 1, 2 and 3. So but the time and place has not been shown. So it's like data dot time and place. So we'll wait for the deployment gets complete and we'll see what was the issue. So is there any data being available? So it's again taking some time for the deployment. Or is it all due to this live data? So because of that one. Start date and end date. So still it's been getting updated, things taking a little bit of time. So it says like it's been updating in Node.js, but here we cannot see any updates happening out. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes, else we'll redeploy it again. Something like we can redeploy it again. It's not working on. Sometimes it gets stuck in between, like cannot move further. So when it goes to the update state, we'll see here, yep, it's been working on. I think the timeout function has been get called. That's the reason, like could enable to get the fulfillment gets deployed. So we'll wait for some more time. Okay, the deployment is completed, so we'll test it now and reset the test. So click on this guy.
Here's the test version of 𝗙𝗓.
So do one no.
Would you like to see the places you have visited earlier?
So we'll choose yes.
Here is the list of places you have visited. Would you like to receive the report?
So we'll see the logs. Okay, the snapshot data is like so why it shows like the data in the query snapshot should always exist. If snapshot data is data. Document.data, whether we are given it correctly here. Snapshot. Okay, from the snapshot what we are doing is like creating an empty array, then snapshot for each we are using out, then we are giving the document. Is there any issues with this naming convention? Okay, this is a typical error. So it should be a data of functions. We got this guy. Document.data of it should be like a function. So what we are given is like document.data alone. I think like now it works fine. Hope. So these kinds of typos we can do. So with the JS we cannot able to find these things. Like if you are using a TypeScript, then we can get these things during the development itself. So since we have been doing it from for a beginner also, like we don't want to mess it up with the TypeScript. So we'll see how things working on now. We'll check it here, like whether the function is getting updated or not. Okay, the deployment is getting called. So we'll reset the test. So and then wait for the deployment successful message. So this deployment is taking a little bit of time in this way, rather than the development. I feel like this deployment takes a little bit of time. So I think it's been get deployed. Yes. So we'll test it one more time, and this time we'll see what happens.
Would you like to see the places you have visited earlier?
Yes.
Here is the list of places you have visited. Would you like to receive the report?
Okay, now the data has been showing properly, so which means this kind of an errors. Because of this reason, we are not getting the data properly. So hope now it will get fixed. So now what we can do is we'll write the same logic. So before that, we'll remove the logs from the get location history handler. So we'll save this guide. So now we'll first send email. What we can do is so here also we'll create an async function, and then here const firestore, or we can give the name report data. Report data is equal to await get firestore data. So once the data has been available, so what we will do is, so already we have written the logic if the data is available, then we will be navigating to the same reports scene, else we won't be navigate. So what we can do is we can create one more function like a PDF generate PDF function generate PDF. So here we'll write our logics to generate the PDF. So for this PDF version, what we will do is we'll be installing PDFMake. So PDFMake, so we'll open this guy, as well as the npm package of PDFMake. And then first we'll install this PDFMake in our cloud function. So we'll create one more terminal. So then we'll navigate to the functions folder, since the node package is available in the functions folder. So now we'll install PDFMake. So once PDFMake is installed, what we can do is meantime we'll go and see the documentation of PDFMake. So we'll be installing the PDFMake. That's been done. So look at the documentation. So what our PDF will be having is a text, a header and a table which shows the list of data, and then we'll generate the PDF. Then we'll send it in email or WhatsApp just what the user need. So first thing what we'll do is you have to create. So we'll go to the playground of PDF. So here we can find some format in which the data should be. Okay, we'll choose tables. So we'll be having a content, styles. So this kind of a table we'll be using on. Okay, there's a lot of codes in here. So we choose the thing which we need. We'll check whether the PDFMake has been installed. It's been installed. So we'll go and check it in the package manager, package.json. So the PDFMake has been installed. So first thing what we'll do is like we'll go to the import section and then we'll import the PDFMake. So const PDFMake equal to require PDFMake / build / PDFMake, and then we'll import the fonts for the PDF if needed. Does it need it for now? We don't need the fonts, so we can do like PDFMake. So we'll see how they have done the imports. Not mentioned it here. So we see the server side. So look on the server side playground. So they mentioned like PDFMake print. Then we have import the fonts. Okay. So we'll write these things like the font. Plus PDF fonts dot PDFMake PDFs. I think like we'll import the PDF fonts as well. Like we'll return it here. So require PDFMake / build / PFS fonts. So if you are going to use some other fonts in your PDF file, you can make use of this PDF fonts. So if you are going to use the default one, you can leave it as it is. So now we'll go and write the PDF logics. The logic to create the PDF files. So the first thing what we need is for the PDF file. So we'll go to the PDF generate PDF page. So we'll be having a header as well as the header will be having a table. A header and a table. So first what we can do is like we have to pass this data from the email to the PDF file. So how we are going to pass this guy is like generate PDF of report data, and then we use a promise here. Okay, so we'll be passing the report data which we have got. So here we'll be receiving that params data. So the first thing what we will do here in the PDF generate PDF is like we'll create the table. First we'll create a table header on the columns. So const table header equal to, so we'll create table. So inside this table we will be having a body, so it will be an array. So inside this body what we will have is again an array. So this will be the first row. So the text, the date, can have the style, so we'll be writing a style for this one. So for now we'll keep it as table header. So we'll copy this guy and create the two more columns, that is time and place. So once this body has been created, what we will do is like we'll concatenate the data which we are receiving from the send email or the send WhatsApp or function. So for that what we'll do is like we have to alter this data. So const table data is equal to data.map. So we pass the data. So here we will be returning the data in the form of an array, so which will have a text, so that is data.date, and it will be alignment of left. So we'll copy the C and add it two more places, like data.time, data.place. So now this part has been completed. So we'll now what we'll do is like we'll concatenate this table data with the table header. So this part has been done. So again what we can do is like we can write the header rows will be 1, and we'll set the width for the table. It will be like a star, so it will be taking the width automatically. Like if you give a fixed number, means like only it will be taking that number as a width. If you given it as a star, means like it will be taking it automatically. So we will give it like this. So the table has been created, and so now what we'll do is like we'll create the page. So for this we'll use a promise. So inside this promise we'll resolve this promise. So now we'll create the document. So for that what we'll do is like const doc definition. So we'll create an object. So the page size would be A4, and page orientation would be portrait. The content would be, so first thing we'll be having, so here the contents part will be adding all these things like whatever we have created in the above. First we'll be having a header. So the header we can have the text like COVID user. We can give the name like date tracker location history. And then we'll style this guy, the header. So we'll create a style named header. So we'll create these styles now. After this what we'll have is the table header we have given. So we can change this name, like instead of table header, date tracker details. So you can use the name which you feel which is convenient for you. And then we'll write the styles for our PDF file. So the header part, first we'll write the styles for the header. So it will be an object. So the font size would be 16 pixels. It will be bold of type true. The alignment of this header will be center. The margin for this one will be on the left 0, 20, right 0, 5. And then what we will be having is the header style we have added. Then we can have a default style. Then we'll resolve this doc definition. So we'll be asking we'll be having a question how these things are done. I already seen the documentation. That's the reason I've been doing it faster. So if you want, you can check out their playground. So you can take a look at how they are done. In the contents part, what we have done as usual. So the same they have done it, and then they have written the styles for their columns or the tables. So here also we are missing one guy, table header, right? So we'll use the styles from here. So we'll take this guy out, we'll add it here, we'll save this guy as well. So you can see the documentation, so it will be easier for you to how to generate this guy. So I don't want to spend much time there teaching those basics. You can take a look of those things and play around. So now we have resolved this document definition. So now we'll go back to our send email function. So here what we are doing is we are generating the PDF and we'll be getting a response. So from this response, what we will do is we'll trigger the email. So here we can put up a console for now. Responses, response from PDFMake. So response. So similarly, we'll copy the same from here and then paste it in the WhatsApp section also. So we can. What will happen is after this sending an email or a WhatsApp part, so we'll get the PDF file. So for now, we have written the logics for generating the PDF, and we have to we have to test this one once we complete the integrating the email functionality, so we can check whether the attachment is being getting received, the PDF file which we have sent, as well as for the WhatsApp. So in that time we can check the PDF's result. So for this video, it's we have completed adding the flows. After showing the data in the table, we'll be asking the question to the user whether they want to see the report, and if they choose yes, they will be providing options like email and WhatsApp. So till here, what we have done, if the user chooses email or WhatsApp, we will be generating the PDF by retrieving the data from firestore, and then based on that PDF, so we'll integrate the email functionality and the WhatsApp functionality, and then in that we'll send those PDF attachments. So we'll see that one in the next part. So meantime, let's deploy this functionality. So in the next part, we'll see about how to integrate the email functionality, using the SendGrid. We'll try to send an email. So in the next video, we'll see about this how to create an account in SendGrid and integrate those options in our cloud function, and then we'll try to send an email with the attachment, the PDF which we have generated. So once it is done, we'll do it for the WhatsApp using Twilio. So then once these parts are get completed, then we'll refactor this code and add this one more case, that is user doesn't respond. That case we'll handle. So we'll do those things step by step. So let it get deployed, and we'll see in the next part on how to send an email using SendGrid from our cloud function. So till then, thank you.